Today I'm gonna go over the 5 best decks in Master Duel right now. If you're loving Master Duel content or Yu-Gi-Oh content in general, be sure to subscribe to this channel right now. Let's go over the first deck, in my opinion, and that is Sword Soul. So we all love Sword Soul, right? No? Okay, so Sword Soul is basically the archetype if you want to be spamming some synchros and play with some worms. When I say Sword Soul, of course, I'm referring to Sword Soul Tenyi. Now, in the past, we've seen a variety of versions of Sword Soul, but almost always the good ones ended up relying on some combo of Sword Soul cards and Tenyi cards because the synergy there is just absurd. Their end board will usually be something along the lines of Shishao together with a Baron, or Shishao together with a big long one. Sometimes they might end on the synchro, you know, that turns off lights so that they can't get Nibiru'd, but right now Nibiru isn't as popular because some of the decks on this list don't actually care about Nibiru that much. Again, once this deck ends on a Baron, it's also Nibiru proof. This deck can also go second extremely well thanks to the Tenyis. Tenyi cards are incredible board breakers, especially the shadowy boy. That thing is just a compulse on legs. It's really powerful. And of course, on this end board, we also can't forget Blackout. Blackout is 2 more pops, which really hurts and makes it very hard to break these boards. After that, they also have a bunch of follow-up, not to mention that they also have the room to play a bunch of hand traps. Next on this list, of course, we have Branded. Tespia, of course, is an extremely powerful deck. I think everyone knows by now that it relies entirely on activating Branded Fusion and then to go from there. Now, the current builds we see aren't just Branded Fusion, though. You know, some people sometimes like to joke like, oh, Branded Fusion, I ash you, haha, now it's over. That can definitely hurt. A lot of these builds now have a bunch of gas in them as well. They might activate an Allure of Darkness, that will then banish a Despian Tragedy. Despian Tragedy might then search for something else. Maybe it searches the Aluber. Aluber might search a Branded in red. They might already have the Patchwork in their hand, and now they can manually start fusing maybe into something like a double Masquerade. And now it's really hard to break that board because not only did you already waste an ash on a Branded Fusion, now you only have like, what, 7 card activations before you auto lose. They're also incredible at breaking boards. The combination of Guardian Chimera, Mirror Jade, and all of the gas I just spoke of makes it incredibly hard to actually build a board that completely stops every single play they have. Beyond that, they also have endless follow-up because Mirror Jade's banish sends a Albion for cost, and then that Albion might search a Branded Fusion, which once again creates the entire combo. Next on this list, we have Runic. Now, as you may see, I have not crafted a single Runic card on this game, but I actually have quite some experience playing against this in real life. Runic actually came out not too long ago in the TCG. If you played in the previous YCS season, you saw a lot of Runic, and boy, I've seen enough of it. That's why I didn't make any of it. I do not like this deck. This deck is essentially a really annoying floodgate deck in Master Duel, which is wild because I did not think this deck could get more annoying after playing against Runic Sprite. Runic Fountain is an insane card. It will basically let you activate a bunch of pretty strong quick play spells and then just recycle those spells and make you draw 3 new cards. Runic Fountain essentially turns every spell into a hand trap whilst also making them all free. Now, of course, in Master Duel, the deck does not have an extra engine to really rely on like it does in the TCG. In the TCG, it's literally just you make a Sprite board and you back it up with Runic cards. We don't have Sprite here yet, so instead, people just back it up with floodgates. While, of course, I can whine about this deck being annoying all day, you still need to accept that it's part of the game right now, and so you better prepare for it. This is also why a bunch of the decks I build right now always have some spell and trap removal in them. The next deck on the list is Mathmic, in my opinion, and that might be a little controversial because we're still pretty new into the season. That is also why I don't really dare to put stuff above others just yet, because we don't really know what's gonna happen the coming weeks. But overall, Mathmic does seem like an incredibly strong deck. Like I've said in other videos before, in Power of the Elements, this was basically like at least a top 3, maybe top 5, some could argue deck. It could kind of stand toe-to-toe with Sprite and Tearlament, though of course not as strong as those two. But given that we don't have Sprite and Tear, Mathmic is definitely a solid deck in Master Duel, especially because we don't have Bestials yet. For you people not playing the TCG, Bestials basically auto-destroy the Mathmic deck, but as long as those aren't out, this deck will be solid in my opinion in Master Duel. Their end boards can be a variety of things, though usually like the most competitive builds I want to say will end on like a Heat Soul, draw into a bunch of hand traps, and then back that up with a disgusting Mad Max Super Factorial, which is basically like creating a Trishula out of nowhere. Take your hand, take your field, take your grave, you're gonna be losing everything. Now, the final deck on this list is pretty tough, admittedly. Like, these first 4 I'm very confident about, and the 5th spot you could argue, but I think I'm still gonna be giving it to Adamancipator. I know I know there's a bunch of other decks that could be here. You know, if you want to argue ABC Therion Adventure might be here, that's fine too. I'm sure in the comment section we're going to see a variety of people having their opinions on this one. I'd love to know it, by the way. Be sure to put them in the comments. But I think Adamancipator is still going to be winning. If this deck goes first and doesn't get stopped by a Maxi, this will put down the most insane board. Like, if we just look at boards from the best decks right now, most of them aren't actually that crazy. You know, Sword Soul, while Baron, Shishao, Blackout with some follow-up is a really strong board, the board itself without the follow-up isn't always just the issue. A lot of really solid decks can break the board, but then run out of gas, and then Sword Soul's follow-up is really what does it, or their extra hand traps is really what does it. Adamancipator, however, if they can fully combo off, whatever board they end up on can be considered unbreakable very often. Now, I know they finally hit Block Dragon to 1, and while this was a cute attempt, in my opinion, that is still not enough. Block Dragon should, for all intents and purposes, be just a banned card. It is incredible how much value this little guy creates, but for now, it is still legal, and so for that reason, in my opinion, Adamancipator is still a very powerful deck. Now, of course, I won't argue that we need to hit just Block Dragon and then leave these other decks on top intact, but you know, when you're looking at problem children in the Master Duel format, I think this little fellow is one of them. So these were the top 5 best decks in my opinion. If you feel like I missed any, let me know about them in the comments down below. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I would really appreciate a little subscription, and I will see you soon. Ciao.